If you're dealing with chronic shoulder, hip, or lower back pain, I can almost guarantee I know what your warm up looks like. You get to your workout 20 minutes early, you grab a lacrosse ball, a foam roller, and a heavy resistance band. You smash your tissue, distract your joints, and you stretch as hard as you can to just loosen up. You feel okay for the first 10 minutes of the workout, but by round two of the heavy snatches or the deadlifts, that same exact tightness and pain comes roaring back. But you're incredibly frustrated because you're putting in the work, you're doing all the mobility drills you saw on Instagram. So why isn't that fixing the problem? And I need to tell you, as a performance PT, you need to know the truth. You're caught in what I call the mobility trap. Here's what traditional fitness advice gets wrong about stiffness and tightness. When a muscle feels chronically tight, like your lower back or your hip flexors, it's rarely because the muscle is actually short. It feels tight because your brain's placed that muscle or that area into a protective neurological spasm. Your brain senses that it's unstable or has instability, and it knows your foundation is leaking energy, so it walks down all of the surrounding muscles to act like a natural cast to prevent your joint from snapping or to prevent your joint from having that pain under the load of the barbell. So when you spend 20 minutes aggressively stretching and foam rolling, that protective spasm right before you lift, you're not really fixing the root cause. You're just turning off your body's alarm system and ripping away its protective cast. You temporarily convince your brain and joint that it's safe, but the second you load up, your brain realizes that instability is still there. It panics and it locks down the muscle twice as hard. And that's why your pain always comes back in the middle of your workout. And honestly, even worse than that, passive stretching right before a heavy workout actually causes your power output to be less, and it leaves your joints in a little bit of a vulnerable place. Having the flexibility to pull your arm way behind your head doesn't matter if you don't have the motor control to stabilize that heavy kettlebell in the same exact position. You're really just creating a new range of motion without building the strength to control it. That's the literal definition of how tears and labrum injuries actually happen. So this is why I do not give the athletes in my 12-week program generic stretching routines. We don't just stretch before class. We do something called clinical preload. So instead of passively stretching the victim, like your muscle, we spend 10 to 15 minutes priming the nervous system and activating the right muscles. If your back is spasming, we don't roll your back. We do heavy isometrics to wake up your glutes and hamstrings. We force your brain to feel safe by creating immense stability around the joint. When you establish true mechanical stability, your brain naturally releases the tightness in your lower back because it really no longer feels like it needs to protect you. You walk into the workout feeling much more bulletproof, not really like loose or vulnerable to your actual activities. You cannot foam roll your way out of a biomechanical energy leak. You need to find out exactly why your brain is locking your body down in the first place. So I built this free 5-minute DPT diagnostic scorecard to help you do exactly that. It's a 5-step physical test to find out exactly where your foundation is broken. Stop wasting 20 minutes every day on band-aids that don't really work. I've linked the free diagnostic test in the description. Let's ditch the foam roller and then we got to start to rebuild your mechanics.